Ever tried drinking coffee upside down? That's nothing compared to what astronauts deal with. In space, your morning brew becomes a floating blob of caffeinated chaos. Let's explore why making coffee in space is rocket science. Back in the 1960s, NASA had a strict no coffee policy in space. But astronauts weren't having it. The legendary John Young pulled off the ultimate caffeine heist on Gemini 3, sneaking a corned beef sandwich and contraband instant coffee aboard. NASA officials nearly had a collective meltdown, not over the taste of instant coffee, though they should have, but because loose crumbs could damage sensitive equipment. Still, astronauts kept finding creative ways to sneak their beloved brew aboard. They'd hide coffee in their personal kits, repackage it as nutritional supplements, and even convince ground control it was essential for mission success. I mean, they weren't wrong. Here's the weird thing about liquids in space. They don't play by Earth's rules. On our planet, gravity pulls coffee down into your cup. Simple as that. But in zero gravity, your coffee turns into floating spheres thanks to surface tension. It's like those water balloon experiments you did as a kid, except now it's hot coffee trying its best to stick together. If you poured coffee from a regular mug up there, you'd end up with dozens of scalding coffee balls bouncing around your spacecraft. Surface tension becomes the boss in space, making liquids curl up into spheres. It's the same reason why raindrops are round. And trust me, chasing after floating blobs of hot coffee while trying not to crash into expensive space equipment isn't anyone's idea of a relaxing morning routine. Think your stuffy nose ruins your morning coffee? Space makes it way worse. In zero gravity, the fluid in your body floats up, giving astronauts perpetually congested sinuses. They call it space face. This totally messes with how coffee tastes because 80% of what we think is taste actually comes from smell. Plus, hot coffee doesn't create those lovely aromatic steam clouds in space. The molecules just kind of hang around randomly instead of rising up to your nose. Astronauts say coffee up there tastes like hot bitter water with a weird metallic twist. It's like trying to enjoy your favorite brew while having the world's worst head cold. You might think making a coffee cup for space would be simple. Just slap a lid on it, right? Wrong. NASA spent millions developing the space cup, and it's a masterpiece of fluid physics. The cup looks like someone took a regular mug and twisted it into a weird teardrop shape. It uses surface tension, wetting angles, and a specially curved wall to guide coffee right to your mouth. Without this fancy design, astronauts would have to chase their coffee around with a straw. Not exactly the cozy morning experience we're all used to. The best part? These cups cost $500 each. Yep, that's one expensive coffee holder. But when you're dealing with scalding hot liquid that could float into expensive equipment, it's worth every penny. Leave it to the Italians to say enough to mediocre space coffee. In 2015, they launched the espresso, the first real espresso machine in space. This wasn't just any coffee maker, it was a $250,000 piece of engineering brilliance created by Lavazza and Argotec. Built like a tank, it had to handle intense pressure without exploding. Pretty important in space, right? The machine used special capsules and a super strong brewing system to create what astronauts called the best coffee above Earth. Italian astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti made history with the first space espresso, even wearing a Star Trek uniform while sipping from her special zero-G cup. Talk about style. Space isn't just changing how we drink coffee, it's transforming how we brew it too. Scientists discovered that bubbles in space coffee don't rise and pop like they do on Earth. Instead, they just hang around, creating these weird, stable foam structures that last for hours. The heat also spreads differently through the liquid. Without gravity driving convection, you get these bizarre hot and cold spots. Get this, when astronauts tried cold brew in space, it took twice as long because the coffee grounds didn't settle at the bottom. They just floated around like tiny caffeinated asteroids. And here's my favorite part. They've actually studied how the creamer forms on espresso in zero-G. It creates these amazing geometric patterns you'd never see in your local coffee shop. Let me walk you through a typical morning coffee routine on the International Space Station. First, astronauts grab a silver pouch of freeze-dried coffee. Think fancy space Starbucks VIA. They hook it up to the hot water dispenser, which looks like something from a sci-fi movie, complete with a special nozzle that prevents any wayward drops from floating away. The water comes out at exactly 158 degrees. They've learned the hard way that hotter water makes the pouches explode. Astronauts then knead the bag like they're giving it a tiny massage, mixing everything together. Finally, they stick a straw through the special port, secure themselves with foot straps, and enjoy their morning boost while watching Earth spin below. It's not exactly a cozy coffee shop experience, but hey, the view makes up for it. Here's something wild. Your morning coffee hits different in space. Your body goes through some serious changes up there. The lack of gravity makes blood rush to your head, messing with your sleep cycles and energy levels. Coffee actually packs a stronger punch because space makes you more sensitive to caffeine. Some astronauts report feeling wired after just half their usual dose. Plus that space-induced insomnia, coffee can make it way worse. That's why astronauts have strict rules about when they can have their last cup, usually cutting off at 2 p.m. space-time. But get this, coffee might actually help with space motion sickness and that weird fluid shift that makes astronauts' faces puffy. Talk about a cosmic cup of joe. Ready to open a coffee shop on Mars? The red planet's future colonists won't want to give up their lattes. Scientists are already sketching out Martian cafes with some wild features. Think rotating chambers that create artificial gravity so your cappuccino foam actually rises, special low-pressure brewing methods that work in Mars' thin atmosphere, and hydroponic gardens growing space-adapted coffee plants. The coolest part? These cafes might use Mars' natural carbon dioxide ice to make the perfect cold brew. And since Mars has about 38% of Earth's gravity, they'll need completely redesigned cups and brewing equipment. Imagine sipping your morning coffee while watching two moons rise over rusty red mountains. All that crazy space coffee science? It's actually made your Earth coffee better too. Those vacuum-sealed bags that keep your ground coffee fresh, that tech came from NASA's space food research. And you know those fancy coffee machines with precise temperature control? They use the same heating systems developed for space brewing. The coolest spin-off might be your local coffee shop's cold brew system. It borrows filtration technology from spacecraft water recyclers. Even the way we measure coffee freshness now uses sensors originally designed to detect air quality in space stations. So next time you're sipping that perfect cup of coffee, thank an astronaut. Thanks for joining me on this caffeinated journey through space. If you enjoyed this cosmic coffee adventure, hit that like button and subscribe for more out-of-this-world science. Share with your coffee-loving friends. They'll thank you later.